evening. Welcome to the City Commissioner Issues Forum. We're glad you're here. My name is Hank Dunn. I will be your moderator tonight. It would be helpful if I use the mic, which is good, which is why I've got a handy person behind me to remind me. This forum is sponsored by the Apopka Involved Voters. It's a community group that seeks to inform voters on current and emerging issues that can directly affect their quality of life in our community. The forum is designed to allow voters to better distinguish among the candidates based on their answers and who best can serve them as a representative form of government. The forum will apprise Apopka voters which candidate's platform tells their vision for Apopka that best aligns with the voters' view of their community based on a sustainable quality of life. The forum is being held before a live audience and being broadcast simultaneously with the cooperation of the Apopka chief through the Facebook and YouTube channel. We welcome the opportunity to get to know you better and to know the candidates who are running for city commissioner. We have on seat 1, Commissioner Alexander Smith and Mr. Sam Ruth. On seat 2, Commissioner Diane Velasquez and Miss Angela Turner and Mr. George Smith. And seat 4, Miss Yesenia Barron and Miss Malika Harrison. Welcome, candidates. We're glad you're here. Thanks for being here tonight. The essence of a city commissioner's role often involves making critical decisions on budget allocation and financial management to ensure the city is smoothly functioning. As such, your experience and competence in managing finances at the municipal level is paramount. City commissioners are essential to deciding the future of the city's infrastructure, from roads to public buildings and parks. Your answers to these questions will demonstrate your ability to look at the big picture, make decisions that impact the entire community, and manage the city's resources effectively. As a city commissioner, you'll be dealing with decisions that directly impact the structure and growth of the community. Land use policies and zoning laws are pivotal tools in shaping the city's development, and your comprehension of these regulations is vital. The forum questions are aimed to gauge your knowledge on these matters, ensuring you can make informed decisions that will benefit the entire community. To ensure that each candidate has the opportunity to answer each question to the best of their ability, a 2-minute maximum time limit will be applied to each candidate's question. Candidates, please try to maximize your time with relevant information, be concise, and refrain from repeating previous comments if you can. Before we begin, we respectfully ask that you as candidates and the audience tonight follow the general guidelines for civility and respect throughout the event. We're here to specifically learn about your views on the issues. Also, we ask that the audience and candidates please mute or turn off your cell phones to avoid any interruptions. And if you're ready, we're ready. Okay, and the first question is going to be a generic question, and we will start with Commissioner, and I have this in order. It's not the order you're sitting on there, I apologize, but it's the order I have to keep me straight. And we're going to please state your election platform and how you will accomplish your goals as City Commissioner, and we're going to start with Mr. Alexander Smith.
Good evening, and thank you for being here for this opportunity for us to share our vision for the state of Apopka. I am a 60-year resident of the state of Apopka, moved here a couple of years ago, graduated from Apopka High School, left Apopka High School and went to Tallahassee, Florida A&M University, where I majored in agriculture education with a minor in horticultural science. Returned to Apopka because I wanted to make a difference in the community. Retired from teaching in public schools after 40 years, and then 2 years as a private contractor for the state of Florida teaching as well. My goal is to continue to watch Apopka as it continues to grow. I'm concerned about affordable housing, workforce housing for our seniors and for those individuals that are employed in those jobs where they need affordable housing so they can remain inside the city of Apopka. Our nurses, our firefighters, our police officers, our teachers, all those individuals so they can continue to live here in the city, as well as for our youth. Being a former educator, I'm really concerned about our youth and providing wholesome activities for our youth as well as we continue to grow so they're not left behind. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here as well. Next, Mr. Sam Ruth.
Well, hi, good evening. First, I want to thank the staff here at Victory Church for putting this on. I'd also like to thank Dr. Hanks, Mr. Olson, John Drago for moderating this event and making this available for the public so as they can learn a little bit more about us. My name's Sam Ruth. I'm running for City Council, Seat 1. I'm a lifelong Apopkan. I raised All 4 boys were born and raised here. All 4 boys graduated from high school here and moved on in their professional career. I also was blessed to be involved with the youth program at a very early age. I started out in the youth soccer league with my kids in soccer. I then moved to the Little League field and the Pop Warner field, followed them all the way up to high school, where when I got to the high school level, I was blessed to be invited on both the football and baseball staff, where I continued to stay there for 25 years. In that process, I mixed that with my professional career, which I worked for one of the largest mechanical contractors in the United States. Primarily, all my work is here local. I was also a graduate of the Apopka Police Patrol Academy. I also was a volunteer firefighter. I had the blessing of working the Orange County Sheriff's PAL baseball team, where we won state championships. There's one thing that my teams adhered to. We were discipline-oriented. We learned how to teamwork, and we took a lot of pride in our community. I'm running for a better of Apopka. I have a great understanding of what City Hall does. I know the importance of the commission seat, and I think that I can drive that where it better suits all and everybody that lives here in Apopka. You know, I want to make sure our road infrastructure's upgraded. I want to make sure that all our stuff is done in a timely manner, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Velasquez.
Good evening. I am Commissioner Diane Velasquez. I'm also the Vice Mayor for the City of Apopka. First, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this community gathering that is allowing you to meet all your elected officials running for re-election and the candidates running for the election cycle. It is important to provide residents an opportunity to ask questions and understand our roles as elected officials. A short background for those who are meeting me for the first time. My husband and I are residents of Apopka for 21 years. I am a mom of 2 grown adult sons and a loving grandmother to 2 grandchildren, Mariah and Julius. I can't say I'm born and raised here, but Mariah and Julius were born and raised here. For the last 10 years, I have been your elected commissioner, seat 2, with the City of Apopka. In between those years, I did serve on the Orange County Planning and Zoning Board from 2018 to 2020. I've decided to run for another term as a member of the City Council for the privilege to continue to represent the residents of Apopka. I have been involved with the growth of Apopka over the last 10 years, and it has been my platform to be accessible to you when you have concerns and to respond with honesty and transparency to address the issues you bring to my attention. It has been important for me over these past years as your commissioner to connect personally with our community residents, with our community leaders, and many businesses invested in our city. I do so by attending the majority of events the city hosts to bring our residents together, to welcome new businesses into our city. I am also an active member and volunteer on local school boards, local nonprofit organizations, and to be supportive of their community efforts and to support their entertainment venues. Individual organizations in our city provides a variety of services and resources by meeting the needs of residents who need some form of assistance. Our elected roles are more than showing up for council meetings. We too are residents of this Apopka community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we go to Angela Turner.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here this evening, and thank you for the organizers for putting this event on and creating a dialogue for us to share our platform. My name is Angela Turner, and I'm running for Apopka City Commissioner, seat 2. I'm running because I believe that this city deserves leadership that listens and leads with integrity and puts the people first, most importantly. I'm not a career politician. I am just very much a change agent and a servant of the people by nature. I'm a wife, mother of 6, and I have 9 grandchildren. I'm also a small business owner and mental health and substance use director in the area. Like many of families in Apopka, I know what it's like to worry about rising costs and, building and traffic congestion, and also really feeling in being heard, and being able to know that people are listening to our concerns. I feel like Apopka is, from my observation, is full of hardworking people, business owners, seniors, and youth that really care about our community. And I think that transparency and accountability and engagement shouldn't be a campaign promise, but it should be the standard. Just to let you know, I believe that Apopka thrives when we have leadership that's ethical, accessible, and forward-thinking. That doesn't mean that responsible growth doesn't happen or have to overwhelm our infrastructure or strong support for local businesses, but keep our economy moving. And smart planning that protects our neighborhoods and resources. I am committed to being the voice of the people in Apopka and letting everyone feel that they're heard in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mr. George Smith.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank everyone for attending. As stated, my name is George Smith. I also go by Smitty, as you probably noticed on some of my stuff I put out. I'm a 10-year veteran from the U.S. Navy, proudly served our country. I've been in Apopka here 10 plus years now, I think about in 2015, so a little bit over. I've dedicated myself to serving the community through my professional experience, civic involvement, and leadership in local organizations, boards, churches, schools, and volunteer efforts. These experiences have shaped me personally with my first approach to leadership, one rooted in service, integrity, and accountability. Service, integrity, accountability. If elected, I would prioritize smart, balanced growth that preserves Apopka's unique character, fiscal responsibility, and transparency to the government, strong support of our public safety and our first responders, infrastructure improvements and real traffic solutions, open and honest communication between City Hall and all residents. I believe that the local government starts with listening to the residents of Apopka, and not only listening at the City Hall level, City Hall meeting, but actually going out and speaking to the individuals outside of election time. So that's one of the platforms that I would like to do, is have something where I will meet regularly with the residents outside of City Council, get their ideas, get their temperature, understand what they're feeling about, and so then we can make better decisions for the community, because there is no I in Apopka. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And now, Yesenia Barron.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome everyone that's here present and online, to my family and friends who are watching. It is such a pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you for Victory Church as well as the Apopka involved voters. My name is Yesenia Barron, and I'm running for Apopka City Council seat 4. I'm running because I believe we can move Apopka forward with purpose, developing our downtown and creating opportunities for families and small businesses right here in our hometown. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I am a daughter of Cuban immigrants that arrived here in the Freedom Flights in the late 60s. I'm the youngest of 4. At the age of 8, my parents divorced. And although my parents didn't have much, my mom was a housekeeper, my father was a carpet installer. And although we didn't have much, they taught me the value of education, the importance of hard work, and serving others. And in 2012, my husband and I moved to Apopka with our children, and we immediately fell in love with the community. We volunteered at our local schools, we volunteered at various programs and organizations, and we opened up a small business. Unfortunately, don't have our small business any longer. However, we felt the importance of the strength of Apopka here while we were going through our scenario, but I'm running to make sure that Apopka grows the right way, with accountability, transparency, and a clear vision for the future. And together, we can move Apopka forward responsibly, proudly, and with heart. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Malika Harrison.
Good evening. Thank you to the Apopka involved voters. Thank you to Victory Church for hosting us here and the opportunity to speak with you all. As mentioned, my name is Malika Harrison. I'm a candidate for Apopka City Commissioner, Seat 4. I'd like to share a little bit with you all about my background. I was raised in South Florida to immigrant parents from Jamaica, so I surely understand what that plight looks like. I was raised in a home of educators where we were taught to put school first and fun later. I am the second of 4 siblings and was really based on the family traditions, the values and morals is what I would say was instilled in me in a very early age and has guided me to this day. I graduated from Florida A&M University with a degree in journalism, as well as attended NYU and obtained a master's in public relations and corporate communications. And throughout that, I've had a decades-long career in corporate as well as in nonprofit, doing everything from strategic planning to fundraising, advocacy, community involvement, and one of my favorite parts of the job is building relationships. I would say that Apopka has been my home for the past 8 years. I've served on the HOA board of my community. I've attended the Apopka Citizens Police Academy as well as the Sheriff's Academy for Orange County. I was also part of the Mayor's Citizens Academy. And I have this saying, or actually I've heard this saying, life never stops teaching, so never stop learning. And that is something that I truly embody within myself, as well as with the youth that I mentor, one through Take Stock in Children program, through the Read to Succeed program at Apopka High School. The reason I'm running is because this is part of a greater calling. I'm looking forward to a better, brighter Apopka. It starts with our quality of life as well as affordability, the transparency within government, the opportunity to have sustained and planned growth, as well as to ensure the economic development so that our city continues to thrive and grow. Again, I want to eliminate those kind of woes that we all experience that keep us up at night and that we know we can overcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Candidates, we appreciate that. We are now going to go to a general questions section. It will be the same question for each of you. We'll have 3 of those questions. And we're going to start with Mr. Ruth this time. But the question is, and it will be the same question, so get ready. There are 8 charter amendments on the March 10th ballot. Some of those are behind you now. Have you read all the charter amendments? And which charter amendments do you not support and why?
I've read all the charter amendments. The one that's getting the most attention is the first one. And I kind of wanted to spend my time on that because with 4 to 5 seats being available for re-election, the onus on the strong mayor or city manager is going to be turned over to, it could be 4 brand new people that's sitting on the dais. I prefer the strong mayor agenda because at least with the strong mayor agenda that every 2 years we have as a community the opportunity to change that direction. The one thing that lacks in the strong mayor is, I think, attention to detail and how city operates. I think it's very important that if a city is going to be successful, it needs a professional manager, somebody that understands the day-to-day operations of running a city. So of all the ones that I would prefer the strong mayor. Term limits. I think it's crucial that we have the term limits. If for no other reason, at least every other election, we might have the opportunity to bring in somebody with fresher ideas and can actually steer the city with the help of a city manager in a direction that favors all the city. Growth is important, but infrastructure has got to be able to support that growth. And if you let the infrastructure deteriorate, growing to grow is not the right direction. I think it needs to have a strong foundation to move forward.
Thank you. And now the same question, Ms. Velasquez. I'll repeat it if you want, or if you remember it, we're good.
I do remember it. I actually have, we were instrumental in creating the new city charter. Oh, and I'm so sorry. I forget. And we were instrumental in creating the charter amendments. And I'm going to go with that question number 1, which is changing from mayor council to council manager form of government. My my personal opinion is that I prefer the strong mayor because the mayor is elected by the people. The council manager form of government, I would have to say I've never worked in that administration. That's something new for me, coming to the state of Florida and realizing that it is a popular form of government, and that is chosen by the commissioners on the dais, and they control, they either fire him, terminate him, or keep him. But I am for the strong mayor form of government because I believe that the people elect the mayor to run the city and to be the leader, and it's the best form of government, is the one that the people choose and not the commissioners.
Okay, thank you. Same question for Ms. Turner.
So my answer to the question is that I would not support the strong mayor form of government. Sorry, I had to look up to make sure that I was saying it correctly. And the reason why is because I think that having a commissioner and we're elected as well. Well, we will be elected as well. To be able to have that input and form, I would like to see other committees that are formed as a result of that, maybe for beautifying downtown or other subcommittees of that. So I think that I would not support the strong mayor at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Smith, George Smith.
Thank you for the question. I would have to echo a little bit about the strong mayor. Because of that situation, I think a strong mayor is just that. Should be a strong individual for that, but there also needs to be I'm kind of flooding over a little bit, a term limit on that. And so if you have a really strong mayor conditioned with the term limits and things of that nature, I think things will move smoother within the city. And if not, then, come re-election, the people will have a choice whether they want to go with a strong mayor, whatever candidate that may be. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. And Ms. Barron, the same question.
So the question was which one we did not.
Have you read the charter amendments, and
Yeah.
which charter amendments do you support, not support, and why?
Not support. Okay, very good. So there's two that I do not support. And so the first one is the authority of city clerk and election qualifying, which is the question number 3. And the reason why is because the pros to that is, yes, it ensures the consistency in terms of the paperwork, but unfortunately the cons on that is that if there is a candidate who submits improper paperwork, that leaves the clerk that cannot intervene into any election integrity on side of that. The next one is the change in election date from the second Tuesday in March. And the reason being is because a lot of people are not aware that we have municipal elections in March. So they would anticipate on having elections in December. So we may not have that same turnout. So I would recommend keeping the election in December, and in terms of the clerk, make sure there's some more transparency and integrity in that position.
Okay, thank you. And now Ms. Malika Harrison.
Yes, thank you for the question. Having served on the Orange County Parks and Rec Board and been appointed to the advisory board, I really recognize how important it is to have public comment. That's the opportunity for the residents, the community members, the constituents who have a question, comment, or concern to have that opportunity to voice their opinion. And so in addition to all of the charter amendments, I just want to recognize how critically important that is for all of our residents and community members to be able to have that voice, and the timing of that is really important, making sure that we're giving priority to those members of our community to speak. The other thing is recognizing that consistency is important, but change is also inevitable. And so when we look at the term limits, I would say, making sure that the term limits are aligned and giving others a chance to lead, giving other people to have a voice at the top of the council. And so those are just a few of the ones that I would call out as very important. When we think about the way these charter amendments came to be, hearing all of the opportunities and the issues that were brought forth from the residents of why we're voting on these, I'm really keen and excited to hear from the residents, see how the votes turn out. And as far as the which way the government and the mayor is governed, I am for what the people decide on election day. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Smith, same question.
Thank you. The one that I most disagree with will be the one in reference to term limits. I just believe that the voters ought to be able to vote if a council member is not performing their duties and upholding the statutes of our city, then the voters ought to have the right to vote them out of office, and it shouldn't have to be term limits that gets them out of the position. And the reason why I say that, because if you have a commissioner that's in office and is doing a great job, then term limits would then eliminate that person from continuing the process that they may have started and then be out of office. And so I think the voters ought to determine what that term limit is by their vote at the ballot and not by a designated term limit.
Thank you very much. The next question, we'll start with Ms. Velasquez, but the question will be for everybody. It's the same question again. How do you ensure that the city budget is balanced and provide for all level of service demands, including staffing, operational costs, and capital costs?
Well, the presentations are made to us sometime in July. And when we sit down with, individually, when we sit down with our finance director and the chief administrator, basically they present to us what each department is, what's in the fund, if it's an enterprise fund, or what capital projects that they have, and anything that's being rolled over from the last budget. So it's a very complex, and what they do is they kind of tell us as an individual that the budget that they're presenting has all the services that they feel they will be able to pay for in the next budget, what's been allocated, and it allows us to kind of go back and forth and say, well, you know, the projects that we had from last year, were they all done? It's an array of different questions that go back and forth. So I have to trust our finance director. This is what their specialty is. And if there's any concerns that we have about some infrastructure issues that we feel that we know already, I want to make sure that they have money allocated for it, funds allocated for it, and usually a time frame. I'm always looking for a time frame. We have the allocation for the funds, what's a time frame, and basically that's what we do until we get before the budget workshops, and then we, of course, inform our voters, our residents, as to the budget for each of those funds.
Okay, thank you. And the same question for Ms. Turner.
Thank you for the question. I would ensure that the budget is balanced, and I thank you, Vice Mayor, for explaining the process. But I would also, in addition to that, I would reach out to the voters and the residents to find out what they think is important, what they think we should be spending our funds on, and allocating the funds accordingly to what the residents feel, and then also planning proactively for our infrastructure, for the rising costs of traffic, you know, measuring the traffic patterns. So I would include a forum to find out what residents want. What do they want to spend the money on as well? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Smith, same question.
Thank you again for the question. I would say I've looked at a couple of the videos in regards to the budget workshops and so forth here in Apopka, and one big thing that kind of stands out to me, it doesn't seem to have any type of follow-up, like a lessons learned for the community. So that's the only thing I would think that could be improved in regards to, you know, the budget, how it's submitted, how it's actually reviewed, how it's communicated to the community as well, and kind of bridging that gap so we can say, okay, we learned from this, We said yay on something, and this is what we learned from it, and this is a movement we have to go going forward just to be a healthier community. And I do have an MBA, just enough to be dangerous to reading those budget lines, but outside of that, knowing what are the proper questions to be asking the financial directors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Ms. Barron, same question.
Well, to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. So I am a proponent of the forensic audit to make sure that we are supporting each department, meet with each department head, and make sure that we are allocating enough funds to support them, to make sure they have the proper resources, to make sure they have the proper equipment, that they have updated programs if necessary. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we are planning for contingencies in each of these departments to make sure that they're well supported, especially, for example, our water and utility department. That's a big issue for us right now. We've gone from 15% down to 10.5%. So we want to make sure that, I want to make sure that in my position as commissioner, that I'm supporting our budget, that we are creating a forensic audit. We are thoroughly going through each department and making sure that we are supporting each department and are funding their needs for each one.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Harrison.
Yes, I believe budgeting is a iterative process, and so it starts at the planning stage, it continues through once the budget has been approved and accepted, and then ultimately tracking through, and tracking monthly and quarterly. But what I would be in favor of is having more checkpoints to make sure that when we have an opportunity to perhaps move around some line items, we're doing that with the due diligence and making sure that that decision is the right decision. I would also want to ensure that we have the input from the public to make sure that our budgets are well balanced, whether that comes from the operations side, the community activity side, where there are some fees and reimbursements coming back to the city. And so looking at it very holistically to make sure that we are leveraging all of the resources that we have correctly, working again with the finance department, asking questions, and perhaps, again, not just waiting until the council meetings, but as we have those opportunities to do a thorough review, raise some questions that may not have been clear. The other thing that I'll add is when I think about the time frame and making sure that we collectively have adequate time to review documents, I would also suggest having what I would consider an executive summary and a briefing that would accompany the budget so that the public, the residents, and council members can very much see clearly at the onset what some of those changes are year over year, rather than taking the onus of digging through. But again, leaning on our expertise from the finance department, input from the public, as well as making sure that our resources and our dollars are being leveraged correctly is how I would envision the budget maintaining its balance and being used adequately.
Thank you. And Mr. Smith, same question.
Thank you. Well, I have a lot of confidence in our department chairpersons that are placed in positions to make sure that they have what they need in order to operate their departments. And so when they come and present their budgets, along with our finance director to make sure the funds are available to meet the needs of that particular department, and when they're presenting, we are able to ask questions as if, do you have everything that you need? Especially one of the questions that Mr. Olson always asks, do you have everything you need in order to perform your duties of the job? And so we are asking those questions. And there have been times when we've asked them to go back and come back with another budget or to add items to the budget that we feel that needs to be in the budget, whether it be a position or whether it be infrastructure or whether it be personnel. To put into that budget, and then if we don't have the funds that are going to be generated in order to do that, that's why we have the reserves in place, and then we can take reserves in order to balance the budget to make sure that departments have everything they need in order to operate efficiently.
Okay, thank you. And same question, Mr. Ruth.
Thank you for the question. This question right here could be one of the most important questions you ask all night, because this is the difference between a strong mayor and a city manager. Right now, with a strong mayor, you don't have the opportunity to sit with the mayor and have a discussion about stuff that you don't understand when it comes to the day-to-day operations of the city. This is why it's important to have a professional manager. With a manager, you can do a one-on-one conversation. I don't need the dais there. I can ask a question that I fully don't understand, and then they can answer that question for me, and we can drive to a comparable decision on how better to serve the needs of the community. The city has about 10 or 12 department heads. These people, when you come in July, you have 2 meetings in July, June, August. Now you're approving a budget, and you still don't understand where the budget started or come from. All you know is every department's going to spend all their money in July so as they can get reappropriated in October, and it's copy and paste. What I want to do is do a deeper dive, and that's the reason we need a professional manager, so as we can sit down and we can nail these loose items, and we can determine what's not working right in the city, and if it's broken, we can fix it.
Thank you. And this will be the last question that's asked of all of you. It'll be the last question. You're all asked the same question. So, and we're going to start this time with Ms. Turner. And the question is, how would you develop a collaborative and positive working relationship between yourself, the mayor, and fellow commissioners?
Good to ask. Good question to ask. I think it starts in the beginning in developing those relationships and making myself available to people and if they have questions. Also, being a liaison between the fellow, the mayor and the fellow commissioners and the people. So being able to navigate between what the people want and be able to bring that back to the dais and build those relationships so that we can all work. Everyone here on the panel has fantastic ideas, and I've been to the city council meetings where they all have great input, and I love when the questions are raised when there are various bills in front of them. So I think having that collaborative effort by connecting the people to the committee and the mayor by being that connection and liaison. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Smith.
Thanks again for the question. I would say the main thing would be consistently communicating with each other. I think that would be a big thing. I'm not saying that it's not happening now, but also to, agree to disagree sometimes. It's okay to do that. And you have to look at yourself as representing, the residents here in Apopka as well while you're doing your duties. So just to have that consistent contact, communication, a community is only strong as much as you communicate from the top down. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. And Ms. Barron, same question.
I think the advantage I have is I've had the opportunity to work with the 3 mayoral candidates in some capacity, along with the Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Velasquez. With the Mayor Nelson, my husband, and he all served in the Rotary. With Nick, 5 years ago, we were on this stage in this forum, similar in this situation, and we've created a mutual friendship and understanding, and as well as Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Moore appointed me to the Community Action Board, where after our election in 2020, where I served proudly for 4 years. And so I think also, being a child abduction response team coordinator for 4 years with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, I had 4 counties under my team with 150 members. So that's a lot of personalities and a lot of differences in opinions. However, I was able to bring everybody into the room and basically say we have one goal, and that goal is to recover a child. And that's going to be the same exact conversation where let's focus on the goal. We may not agree with everything, but I know what we will intersect in one capacity, and we can meet there and work from there. And so the best thing I know about me is I can facilitate, and I can share my perspective, and I can empathize and learn from other people's perspective and learn from that, because maybe their vision is different than mine, and I can learn from what they share. So that's what I would bring to the dais.
Thank you. And Ms. Harrison.
I would say it's the collaboration and the communication. It's also the respect that we have for our fellow colleagues, and the way that we create that harmony on City Council will then extend itself to our community members. And so when I think about having retreats, that's something, being able to go through Leadership Apopka together, for example, but building that sense of collaboration is going to be very important. Allowing ourselves to have some consensus when it comes to decision making is very important. Being able to respect each other's thoughts and opinions and experience, knowing that we all bring to bear our passions and our expertise in various areas. And so when we think about, being able to be a collective and a unit as the council, I think it's very important for us to maintain that honesty, that communication, and that collaboration. As I mentioned, I've served on several boards in the past, and that is something that I truly value, in addition to our time and making sure that we're using our workshops and our various committee time effectively and efficiently, so that we are getting to the issues and the votes and the decisions that need to come out at the council. But very much, I'm a collaborative spirit person. I'm someone who I would say leads with compassion, starting off with that, hello, how are you doing? And just being very cordial and civil is something that I'm excited to bring and maintain in the council when becoming commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. It begins with respect. And you have to respect yourself first, and then you respect others. And being a teacher for 40 years, I've been in positions where I brought people together. At one of the schools I was teaching, students came from 2 different communities. And so there was a lot of animosity between the students. And in my position, I was able to bring those students together and let them understand that they got to respect one another regardless of where they came from. I've served in leadership positions in several different roles. I was president of the Florida Ag Teachers Association for a number of years, where I was a leader. I was the president of the Florida FFA Board of Directors, where I led in that position as well. I've served as the Grand Master for Masons for the state of Florida in leadership role. I've served as the president for Masons for the United States, for 27 different states in a leadership role. And so I think I've come prepared that I can keep those kinds of relationships together, in addition to serving, going through the Florida Agricultural Leadership Program and through the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Program as well. And so I think those things would aid me in keeping peace among the corral. Thank you.
Thank you. And same question, Mr. Ruth.
Never got the thought I'd be an advocate, but there is available to all new municipalities. It's called the Florida League of Cities. If you don't get the opportunity, you must go and reconnect with the Florida League of Cities. They bring all the cities from the state of Florida together. You get to sit in these classrooms where they kind of board you up with cities of the same size, and you get to ask questions about what better, how can I bring a motion? They teach you home rule. They teach you the value of home rule. They teach you how to make a motion. They teach you when you're having difficulties with another council member, how you can actually, in a constructive manner, entertain a motion to get a discussion to where you can openly have civil dialogue instead of name calling and pointing fingers at one another. If for any other reason, I hope Apopka gets back involved with the Florida League of Cities and reconnects with other communities of equal size to where you can share common problems and you can sit down with one another and know how to drive a motion and bring it from a discussion with a resident to making a motion and pushing it through the council.
Thank you. And Commissioner Velasquez.
Everyone kind of touched on one thing, and it is respect. It is to understand the roles, to understand what a strong mayor is, to understand what the roles are for the commissioners. And it's important when you're communicating with each other on the dais is to be respectful, to be civil. In the years that I have been in service here, what has lacked, and I kind of, one of the candidates touched on, I would recommend retreats. Retreats allows us to go into, as a group, and kind of discuss some of the things that we feel we either support or don't support, or or if we have a difference of opinion. Now, the state of Florida has what they call the Sunshine Law. And what our residents need to understand, and our voters, is that we can't sit separate off the dais and start having a conversation about anything. But I honestly feel that the most important thing is to be collaborative and to understand that our service is to the people of our city and not for personal agendas. So the one thing I would recommend, even after all these years, is I am a proponent of workshops, and I hope that with the next election, the next sitting council meeting, that they would have a retreat, and that would allow all the commissioners to kind of get to know each other on a personal level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and at this point, we're leaving the common questions and we're going to go to individual questions. And so there'll be individual questions for each of you. And I will start the first individual question with Mr. Ruth. And here it is. Do you believe residents that are directly impacted by encroaching development should have the right to negotiate with developers and the city over such issues or types of developments, their density, and the traffic patterns? If so, why do you believe so? And if not, why not?
I think the city already has a form where they can, the planning and zoning board is already set up for that. They have the opportunity to go in. I think it's important that we make sure that the people that are sitting on those boards are receptive to people that come in there and have discussion. They have, home rule, they have Robert's rules. That is more of a formal location for citizens to have a discussion. Privately, we can have discussions with them. As far as them having a discussion with the developer, I would think that that would be a question more for the planning department and the city administrator to kind of head off some of that, but most of that ought to come from the planning and zoning board, because once they approve it, then they move it up to the commission or the council.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for Commissioner Smith. And the question is, do you support the annexation of South Apopka? Why or why not? If you do support the South Apopka annexation, would you support a 2 referendum or a 1 referendum vote, and why?
Thank you. It's no secret. I support annexation of South Apopka. And the reason why I think it's time for us to stop the division, because even though they're unincorporated Orange County, it still is a method of segregation. And so it's time for us to remove the line and become one people. And I believe that we ought to allow the individuals in the unincorporated part of Orange County to vote for the annexation. And the reason why I say that, because the law says that they have to vote, and it's optional whether the city residents vote or not. And so therefore, my take on it is, it was the city council that drew the line that separated unincorporated Apopka, and so therefore it should be the city council to vote to accept the annexation should the unincorporated part of Apopka vote to be annexed back into the city. There are numerous benefits from the annexation in South Apopka to becoming a part of our city, and I often say it's taxation without representation. They come into the city to buy gas, order groceries, everything is inside the city, and so therefore they don't receive any benefits by being an unincorporated citizen from the city of Apopka. And so I believe that the government is closer to you, can provide you the best service, and so therefore they deserve to be city residents, and I support it.
Thank you. Next question's for Ms. Turner. And the question is, if gentrification was the only option to expand the city center, would you support the expansion using gentrification? If so, why? If not, why not?
To answer the question, I would not support the gentrification for that project, because I believe the people are the backbone of Apopka, and not having their input and making sure that we're considering their neighborhoods and what feels like home to them, to be able to have a bigger agenda is not considering everyone's voice. So I do not support the regenification. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Next question's for Mr. George Smith. Mr. Smith, what specific policies would you, as city commissioner, support to curb or limit urban sprawl?
Moratorium. I would support that in regards to just slowing things down in regards to the urban, and also addressing the issues that we have now, just so we don't think that anybody and everybody is like left behind. You don't want to have that feeling. So definitely want to support them in that regard, but extending anything outside of that, I would not support it. Thank you.
Okay. And next question for Ms. Commissioner Velasquez. Apopka continues to experience rapid growth, as we all know. What specific infrastructure investments, roads, utilities, public safety, all those, would you prioritize after your reelection as city commissioner, and how would you fund them without overburdening and taxing residents?
At this point, it's the most important thing that I hear from the residents has to do with the utilities, the water, the reclaim. That has been a burden for our residents. In fact, what I've been doing in the last few months is asking our finance director, who is in charge of utilities, is for a list every other month, or every 3 months actually. I've been asking how many residents in our city have had their water cut off. So obviously, from seeing those lists that sometimes go up to 700 accounts, I'm saying to myself, the utilities, the water is very important. It's no one should be without water, and I feel that that would be a priority to get all the water meters running, back and running. Our last council meeting, the number still shows that over 2,500 meters are still not functioning. Yet we have a list every month growing of residents having their water cut off. So definitely, for me, the priority at my reelection would be the utilities department.
Okay, thank you. And next question's for Ms. Harrison. And the question is, the old Albertson storefront has been vacant for some time. What retailers would you focus on to specifically fill that storefront and similar storefronts that may be empty around the city? What would you do to attract those folks?
Sure. I think we need to turn this back over to our community, to our residents, have a workshop where we can hear the needs, the wants, the desires of everyone. Do we want, a retail in terms of a grocery store? Do we want that to be a creative workspace or just, a remote workspace? And so there are so many opportunities for that, understanding obviously what the zoning is for, but being able to hear what the community wants. I think we just heard the Fresh Farm Foods was approved, and that's bringing some fresh produce into our community, which is very much needed and wanted. And so having that input, but thinking very strategically, being very innovative in what retailer would come into that space or what would be done. I believe that, having these vacant buildings filled obviously creates jobs. It makes our livelihood stronger. It will attract more people and promote our economic development. And so by no means should we be aggressive or hasty in making that decision, but having the input, having the planning, and making sure that it is something that is not just for the near term, but for the long term, so that that business does survive and thrive in the space, as you mentioned, and the other spaces that are vacant.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Barron, the next question's for you. The city's CRA has been inefficient for many years relative to eliminating blight, recruiting dining options, retail shopping, more affordable housing, all those things, and the overall appearance and safety of the CRA. As a city commissioner, what specific policies would you support to improve and increase the overall productivity of the CRA?
So the CRA just was funded back in September of 2025. So we received $900,000, which would divide $30,000 per home per business. And so I would make sure that it's funded and look back, see what best practices we implemented with that funding. Did it work? And figure out what we need to make, lessons learned that we need to fill in any gaps that are necessary, because as it's just got funded in September, it's best that we plan purposefully. My hope is that with the CRA that we are able to bring more local businesses to our downtown area. I want to make our downtown walkable. Lighting is important. Our crosswalks are important, especially from Central to Fifth and Fifth to Park. I want to make sure that we are implementing that area and really investing our CRA money in our downtown, because we are asking for that. We as residents, I've been here for almost 14 years, we've been asking for a thriving downtown, and our CRA should support that, and making sure that we have shops and boutiques and art galleries and places that we can really gather and enjoy a weekend and keep our local money here, where we are bringing, our residents are bringing their money here and not taking elsewhere. And I know the CRA can support that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're back to Mr. Ruth for next question. Some businesses believe that the current approval process for development is perceived to be time-consuming and onerous. What specific changes would you propose to streamline the city's current development approval process, if any?
Well, I'd really like, and we've been promised a downtown center for the last 20 years. We have some of the most expensive property that we've bought as a city. We've turned around and resold it for half the market value. What I'd like to do is create an environment that would encourage people that want to come and invest in the community. I want to be a cheerleader for those investors to come to Apopka and want to spend their assets to make the downtown experience in Apopka better, because I leave early, I go to work, I come home, I want to eat in Apopka, I sleep in Apopka, I want to spend my money in Apopka, and I want to be a cheerleader for investors to want to come in here. I want to remove red tape that stops them from coming. I want to fast track them through City Hall, so as they can come in here, if we got property available that they want to entertain a thought and create a vision that's going to be inclusive of what we want to as a community, I want to champion that expenditure and make sure that we remove any of the red tape that's in their way and be a cheerleader or their investment, and make sure that they got 100% support from downtown, and we can move this thing to the finish line without any other delays, because the promises we were made 20 years ago, we're still waiting.
Okay, thank you. Next question's for Commissioner Smith. And the question is, over the last 6 years, the city has repeatedly made budget adjustments at nearly every city council meeting. Many voters see this as a failure to properly plan and execute a comprehensive budgeting process. How would you ensure that the budget changes occur only in response to truly uncontrollable events, such as natural disasters or other circumstances beyond human control?
Thank you. We do have budget amendments, and I'm not sure that they're all unnecessary budget amendments. Some of the budget amendments are amendments from funds that are carried over that were not spent from the previous year. And until we get an earmark as to where that budget expense is at that point, we're not able to carry those funds over. So some of those amendments are for those items. Some amendments are because when the budget is developed, we've asked the departments for all the things that they critically need at that time. And then when something transpires that was not accounted for beforehand, it is an emergency, and therefore that budget amendment needs to take place. And so I think sometimes when people criticize the budget amendments that comes forth, they really don't understand the process of why that budget amendment was brought forward. So it's not only just in emergencies, but those expenditures that were not spent during the previous budget year has to be rolled over into the next budget. Sometimes those are grant funds that are rolled over, so that again becomes a budget amendment that must take place during the city council meeting after the budget has been approved.
Okay, thank you. Next question for Ms. Turner again. And the question is, whose responsibility is it to care for those experiencing homelessness, and who should provide funds for services for those experiencing homelessness? In the cities, as a county, other people, who's responsible?
I think it's all of our responsibility, but more importantly, we should be taking care of our own in Apopka. So I believe it is the city's responsibility where we see a need. And being a mental health professional, in my capacity, I am really close to what that looks like for people in real life. And being able to also provide those resources for them that they're not aware of. Being able to help them navigate to the resources that are out there. If you see someone that is challenged or struggling, we do have places in the area that are helping the unhoused, and those are really challenged in that area. So number one, directing them to the resources that are there, and number two, building on our resources. And I think it is all of our responsibility to be able to tackle this problem, and we can. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And next question for Mr. George Smith. The city has a large number of enclaves within its municipal boundaries. As a city commissioner, what specific plan would you develop to fold those enclaves into the city?
The infrastructure in regards to the enclaves is an issue, I think. So it's just making those adjustments to support any type of development or building on and so forth. So I think, again, right now, I wouldn't probably lean more into bringing those into the fold. I'd be more opposed to not doing that right now at the present time. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. The next question for Commissioner Velasquez. And the question is, how would you evaluate development proposals to ensure they benefit all residents without the need to charge additional fees and taxes to cover the cost of the new service demands?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. How would you evaluate development proposals to ensure they benefit all residents without the need to charge additional fees and taxes to cover the cost of the service demands? How would you pay as you go? How would that be covered for other people?
Well, when you have a development coming in, you obviously have developers that are going to be impacting the community. So it would be to have the impact that they have, that they be responsible for the impact. And of course, when we're having new developments, there are permit fees, there are fees that they have to pay. So that in itself, the impact fees, any of the permit fees and impact fees that they pay, we use that in order to expand or to strengthen the infrastructure that they will be impacting in that community and neighborhood. So you just make sure that our community development department, because this is where they come through first, that they sit down with the developer and find out what they're developing, whether it's a business, a residence, or a new community, what the cost will be for that developer. That's what we would do.
And I guess this is another question I should ask all of the commissioners, and do you feel like the fees that we charge currently are appropriate enough? Are they at the right level? Are they covering all the costs that's going to be out there? No, just a temporary aside. You're so good.
Do I feel, well, over the years, we have increased the fees for the developers and their impact on our community. So, and then we also have Tallahassee that has kind of tied our hands on to how much we can increase those fees. But I feel that our fees can be adjusted as the rate of the economy changes, inflation, and we should be able to appropriately increase fees when we feel that the inflation or that the cost that what they pay in impact fees is not going to cover the strengthening of our infrastructure.
Thank you. Unfair of me to ask you that question, but I felt like I had to, sorry. And this is for the Ms. Harrison is the next question, and it is, our population is aging with baby boomers obtaining retirement age at record levels. Here we are. As a city commissioner, what senior services would be implemented or expanded, and how would you fund those services for people like me?
Thank you for the question. I think I know our seniors and our youth are, the backbones of our community in terms of those that have been here and that the next generation that is coming up. And so I wholeheartedly believe that seniors want to be engaged, they want to be involved. And so when I think about just the different, again, surveying them, finding out what they like, I know there's the health and wellness is a huge piece of what senior citizens and the families of those are concerned about. And so having some dialogue, having a health and wellness fair, for example. The Apopka Police Department puts on a self-defense class. I think that is something that we can definitely leverage and spread the word to get some seniors involved in that. But a book club, really taking the poll and hearing from them what they would like. When it comes to funding, I would be an advocate and strongly push for us to use some of the reserves that we have to fund some of these services and programs for the seniors, because I think that when we have these programs, we have the dollars, we're strengthening families, we're pouring back into our community, we're fostering trust and the livelihood of the seniors. And so not to let the funding be a barrier, using the resources and the community centers that we have. We have a library, I would say, that is underutilized, and so where we have opportunities to host events at City Hall, at the library, at the Civic Center, let's leverage the resources that we have so that we're not charging or imposing a fee on the seniors, but we're bringing forth a breadth of resources, programs, and amenities for them to enjoy, and then that can also be handed over and extended to family members as well.
Thank you. And next question is for Ms. Barron. And the question is, currently the City of Apopka's budget workshops for the public begins very late in the calendar year. As a city commissioner, how would you gain commission support to start the budget process, the budget workshops, earlier to gain more public input?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, because I think that is where we've been struggling in terms of bringing the community to our workshops, to our budget workshops, and early enough. And we need to prepare before. So I know our budget starts in September. However, we need to make sure that we are preparing our residents at least a year in advance, so they're aware of what's coming, so they're aware of where our downfalls are, where we're supplementing, so they know understand the funds that are being allocated, what contingency plans we have in place, so that way we can share our knowledge with them, and that they feel they are included in that time frame in terms of reviewing our budget. So they feel included, they're aware of how well we're doing, or perhaps how well we're not doing, and that part we have to be transparent with. It's important for us as those on the DOS to be accountable to our decisions as well. And we may very well get it right, and we may very well not get it right, and we have to be okay with that and share where we did get right and where we didn't, and let the community know that they too have a voice, that they too can participate in our budget workshops, and that they are available to attend, and to make sure that the time that we have the budget workshops is to where it's amicable for our residents to be present, and that way their voice is heard in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last question that we're going to be on, all of you, the last one, we'll start with Mr. Ruth. So your last question for you specifically, what criteria would you use to prioritize city infrastructure spending?
Day one. Find what's broken and let's start fixing. The other thing is, I would like to sit down with somebody to where we can start having conversations on how we can slow the growth. Growth is what's killing our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is overtaxed, overworked, and under-maintained. It starts day one. Once a month, you sit at a council meeting and you approve disbursements. you know, it's roughly $10 to $15 million a month. Take a deeper dive in where these monies are being spent and how we can best allocate to the areas that need the most help. If your water and sewers problem, let's go fix it. But before we start moving forward, we got to back up and fix what's broken. We need to start using an a rule that we don't use that often around here, and that's consensory. We need to kind of manage some of this growth in a better, instead of throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks, let's come back home. Let's start working our way out. Instead of building on all four ends of the city's limits, let's start here and work our way out. I think we could better get a handle on our budget, our spending, if we started day one instead of waiting till the end of the year. When we start in July approving next year's budget, that means that they spent all the reserves that they had in, you know, it's like, when you get to March and April, it's spend because we know we're going to get an increase. Let's start earlier to where we can stop that habit from forming.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Commissioner Smith, last question for you. Is during your term as city commissioner, public comment was moved to the end of city council meetings and the live broadcast of meetings was discontinued. After 8 months, public comment was reinstated at the beginning of the agenda with individual speaking time reduced by 1 minute. Can you tell us what considerations led to this and what factors prompted it to be changed back?
Thank you for the question. Public comment was moved to the end of the meeting because decorum was not being adhered to. And when you have residents that call you and say, why do you all allow that to take place? Then something has to be done. I had a grandson that called me and asked me why was I being called a Sambo. And when he looked up Sambo, he said that's a racial slur. So why are they calling you that? Why do you all allow that? So I think it was good that public comment was moved to the end of the meeting, and it wasn't taking away anyone's right to speak or to be heard, but it was to get control of what was taking place in the chamber. And so that went on over and over again, and I'm not so sure that personally if I would have moved it back to the beginning of the meeting when it was done, because then people would look at it as being a political move. And so if we would have moved it back, me personally, I would have waited till after the election and then consider moving it back to the front of the commissioners' meeting. But when you have individuals that come and they're making all kind of derogatory statements and using profanity in a public setting where public is listening, people have just got discouraged and said they would stop listening to the city council meeting. So that was the reason why it was moved.
Thank you. Next question for Ms. Turner. And the question is, what industries do you believe as city commissioner would you need to focus on to bring to the city?
That's a good question. So I think that we need to build on what we have here. Apopka is beautiful. We have the greenery that's here. So I would look at industries that for green spaces, particularly our downtown area, little bakeries and shops that bring out the uniqueness of the area. In addition to that, some community. A community center, which is heavily needed for children, as has been stated, youth, seniors, and in between, to be able to help give people information and help them be able to navigate this difficult world, give them education. So I think having building on what we have, enhancing and bringing those unique shops that we have in bakeries and eateries. I love Apopka and I love to eat here, and expanding on that, but in addition to that, a community hub in a sense that is going to serve the community and educate and be a place of a safe haven for our residents.
Thank you. And next question for Mr. George Smith. What's your definition of transparency as it relates to your position of city commissioner, and how would your political behavior in office conform to the public that you are adhering to your definition? How would they know you're conforming to your own definition?
So transparency, thank you for the question, by the way. Transparency to me means that continue communication as you go through the business for the city. Keeping the residents abreast of what's going on, explaining to them if you have to, for whatever reason. Not doing anything, behind the doors or secret meetings and things like that, even though they're illegal. But still, things like that do still happen. But understanding that, gaining their trust, and they're going to understand that I'm representing them, the residents of Apopka. Again, there's no I in Apopka, so it'll be a team effort, and I'll be looking forward to, if elected, really collaborating with the residents of Apopka. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question for Commissioner Velasquez. The city has repeatedly made budget adjustments at nearly every city commission meeting. Many voters see this as a failure to plan and properly execute a comprehensive budgeting process. How would you ensure that budget changes only occur in response to truly uncontrollable events, such as natural disasters or others? It's a very similar question you've heard before.
I did. First of all, I would kind of move the budget workshops much sooner than July. I feel that when July comes around, we're kind of rushing through it, and by bringing it earlier in the year, probably by maybe even May or June, because my understanding has always been that with the new year, January, February, March, the mayor already has sits with each department and kind of goes over what they've spent, what he's going to allocate. And as he admitted in the mayoral forum, he runs a very tight budget for each of the departments. So of course, we're constantly seeing amendments and adjustments. And so that creates the impression that we do not allocate enough for each of those departments. So definitely it would be to move the workshops much sooner and to have the opportunity for each of the departments to actually sit with us. Some of the workshops should be where the departments sit with the commissioners and we ask them, do you have enough funds for this? What are your needs? Instead of just one person, which is the mayor, that sits with them. So by the time it gets to us at the commission, it's been decided what they're going to get. And so I feel that the workshops maybe should be changed around where we can have, as a commission, sit with each department in a workshop, allowing our public to also sit in and understand the process.
Okay, thank you. Next question for Ms. Harrison. As a city commissioner, what specific decision-making process would you implement to ensure residents feel heard before major decisions were made by the city commission that might affect them or their quality of life?
Sure, thank you for the question. I think it starts with listening and listening attentively, listening for understanding and comprehension, and then not just letting that information go by the wayside, but bringing that back to the council, having that same input from our residents at the workshops. I've shared that I'm a huge proponent of advisory boards and committees, and so giving that another opportunity, another outlet for dialogue and feedback. Again, everything is not going to be able to be raised at the city council meetings, unfortunately, and so we have to do our due diligence, open up some opportunities for conversation so that there is a platform for more residents to be heard, and then for us as a council to listen and respond to that. I think that we cannot make decisions in a vacuum, and so we have to have that input. The other thing that I'll share is oftentimes we hear that I've heard from the residents. And so as commissioner, I would want to, quantify that. How many residents are we in fact hearing from? And while I think anecdotally it's a fair statement, when we think about decisions that are related to budgets and development and quality of life, quite frankly, we should be able to say we had an aggregate of X amount of residents that we spoke to. These are the ones that voiced an opinion in favor or those that maybe had some dissension. And so being able to quantify who we're speaking with, being able to open up more opportunities for conversation and dialogue is really going to help us as commissioners do our job, being able to make sure we're having the voice collectively and comprehensively of our residents.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Barron, the last question for you is, as a city commissioner, what specific policies would you support, and at what part of the development process would you encourage to ensure that developers contribute fairly to the infrastructure improvements such as roads, utilities, drainage, and et cetera?
Well, I think right now our biggest hurdle that we have to overcome is the SB 180. I call that the Trojan horse, if you will, because initially when it was written by the state representative out of St. Petersburg. When he wrote it, it was specifically for during hurricane type seasons. Unfortunately, when it passed, it kind of showed up in a different manner where it allowed opportunities for developers to develop more into urban sprawls, if you will, and so that's where we're at now. That bill is it was supposed to expire October 1st of 2027. However, because of the recent lawsuits from the various municipalities throughout Florida, it has been pushed up to June of this year. And so I want to make sure that these developers are aware that we have infrastructure issues, if you will, that we need to take care of. And I want to make sure that they are supporting that, that they're just not going to put in their roads, put in their development and leave. Unfortunately, we have developments that are experiencing flooding issues because of that. Crystal Lake is one of them, or Clear Lake, I should say, is one of them where they had a sprawl close to their lake, and unfortunately that area is experiencing some flooding. So I want to make sure that we're holding these developers accountable, that they're just not developing and then leaving us, the city, the DOS, and cleaning up what they created. So I want to make sure that we are planning with purpose, that we are holding them accountable in terms of what they're building and what they're bringing to our city. And that's how I would make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Due to timing, I have one last question we want to ask all of you. So I'm going to go back and ask the same question of all of you. And I'm just going to start with Commissioner Velasquez and go down the line. So here is the question. A recent retail recruitment report identified approximately $235 million of city residents' purchasing power being spent outside the city. As a current city commissioner and future city commissioners, what specific policies would you support to redirect resident spending into the city? Commissioner Velasquez, we'll start with you.
I do remember that question at the mayor's report, and I was really surprised by the amount, which was $235 million. Well, obviously, we don't have enough businesses that are keeping our residents to live, work, and we have live and play, but we don't have the work. And you can just go out in the morning at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and see the traffic that's leaving the city. So obviously, now that we have an economic director on board, one of the things she is doing is really trying to recruit businesses here. So this way we can start keeping some of our residents to have employment here. We, of course, have built plenty of warehouses in the city of Apopka, so that also generates jobs. It's having a skill force for any business that we bring here. We should make sure that we have the skilled laborers here, the skill force. The one thing that I have always hoped for and that was recommended for the city of Apopka many years ago was to have a college here, a university. This way, as they graduate from high school, they can go to college here and then have the opportunity for jobs here in the city of Apopka. It's going to take a while, but it's our reality right now. We were a bedroom community, and we are transitioning. We are growing. So it's a matter of time that I believe we will see that turnaround, but it will take some time.
Thank you. Ms. Harrison, same question.
Thank you. I think this is an opportunity for us to have some big, ambitious goals that are attainable. I think it's looking at a long-term plan as we develop the Main Street, as we develop our city center, and speaking to businesses who want to expand and giving them incentives to come here. I know we've had a grant program for storefronts, and I think they're, again, thinking about raising that dollar amount to incentivize and reward and create some more interest in different businesses coming here. I mentioned earlier, I mentor a lot of youth and thinking, you know, everyone is not going to college, and so they are looking for jobs right out of high school, and even, you know, if they graduate with a 2-year degree. So I think that's an opportunity, talking to our young people more, getting them interested and excited about Apopka. We have a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I think it's just a way for us to tell our story, making folks know in Apopka as well as out, being able to say, this is where the opportunities are, this is where we want our dollars to be spent, but it comes with planning and intentional planning to develop our Main Street, to have some more incentives for us to stay here and spend our money here wisely, and then think about the young people so that we can attract some more dollars back into our communities. And that is what is going to get us to have that economic development that we desire and that we know we can have. Leveraging our natural resources as another point. We don't have to leave the community and go outside and spend money. But the other thing that I'll add is looking at some best practices from our sister cities and being able to leverage what has worked well and make that our own, but we don't have to do it from a blank slate if we adopt and review and assess and then make it our own. Thank you.
And Mr. George Smith.
Thank you again for the question. Again, the biggest thing that stands out to me is the infrastructure. Getting that together and getting that taken care of. Right now, I joke, but a couple people, you know, instead of Main Street, they call it Payne Street, and Plymouth Sorrento is turning into that as well. Getting the road issue fixed, so these individuals that are thinking about even bringing the business here, they're going to travel. Like every morning, even though I'm retired, every morning I get up and I drive the roads at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, drive it again at 5 and 6. And like Kelly Park Road, the 429 exit, oh my goodness, it's like a parking lot. You know, so it's about, again, making the developers understand that, okay, that's fine, you're developing that community over there, but we need more than 1 or 2 turn lanes going into the community. We need a couple lanes because we're already hurting in that situation. So tapping them on the shoulder and asking them for that would help out. Thank you for the question.
And Ms. Barron, same question.
So I just have to say that I am thankful that former Commissioner, Vice Mayor, I should say, Kyle Becker, brought in the Economic Development Director, because that was a pivotal move for us here in Apopka. And I know that Apopka right now is going through its growing pain in terms of its own identity, but we can still have that small town feel if we're intentional about it. And my goal is to make sure that we are supporting our local entrepreneurs. When we had our business, we knew that Apopka was a drive-through, if you will. People were leaving to go to work and coming back home. And so I want to work with our economic development director and support her. Make sure she's available in terms of what we hired her to do, that she's able to bring in those businesses, bring in ideas to make our downtown walkable, leverage on our wonderful natural treasures that we have here, our Rock Springs, Wekiva Springs, Lake Apopka Drive, where we are keeping our local money here. And we have visitors that come here daily, if not monthly, to visit those natural treasures. And how are we supporting them in terms of letting them know what we have here in Apopka? And I want to begin an initiative to where we are letting our visitors know what eateries we have, how are we preparing and planning our downtown, because I want our downtown to be walkable, to where we can shop and gather and listen to live music and really be able to have a downtown that we can truly finally be proud of. And that's something that I know that she can bring. She's got her best practices. She's got also her lessons learned. Not everything's going to fit here in Apopka, but I know that she has ideas that can bring an amazing opportunity for us here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ruth, same question.
This is a very good question, and it starts at the top. You got to have a leader at the top. The leader, a person who leads from the top, encourages the team members that are on the team. One of the privileges of being a football, baseball coach here in Apopka is we were able to create discipline. We were able to build teamwork. We were able to take pride in our community. But if you don't have a plan and you don't practice, you can't execute. And it starts on Monday, not Friday night. And if you don't have a plan going into it, you don't have people that around you that share in the plan, it's never going to work. We've been promised downtown for 20 years. I was born on Lake Apopka. Lake Apopka used to be the bass capital of the world. We had the citrus industry here. To be in California and take a bottle of orange juice and turn around, it says Apopka, Florida on it. Coke's here, Amazon here. We got the commercial infrastructure. We need to take the builders that are here that know how to build, know how to execute it, bring them into the team process, encourage them to get motivated and behind it, and Apopka could take off and head and you know, the thought is many, but if you don't start on Monday working on the plan, you're never going to get it to the end. Thank you for the question.
Sure. Ms. Turner, same question.
So I think this starts with incentivizing our businesses to stay here and people working in our community. Also, building on creativity and consistency. Creating a calendar. I love the calendar that has the Apopka Amphitheater, Sounds and Sound, but creating a calendar of a year-round events that bring people into the area and spend their money to eat here, so that business will want to come. Also, building on what we have, those natural resources as well. Listening to our people in the community and what they want to, our residents, but also looking at outside places, the places that people are going to instead of coming into Apopka, and what are they doing right, and developing a plan and emphasizing on those strengths. Apopka can be fantastic. And I just think that I envision a place where we come Saturday, Friday, or even a Monday afternoon to be able to gather and have those events, promoting, getting the word out. I've been to a number of things at the Apopka Amphitheater. They're better than anything in the surrounding area. We have a gym there, but getting the word out so that people can be able to feel the great sense of community that we feel here. Thank you.
And Mr. Alexander Smith.
Thank you. I guess we have to assume part of that responsibility of the funds being spent elsewhere. Our economic development director that's on board is doing an outstanding job. She hit the ground running. But then when we look at our local businesses, our small businesses that have closed, Bubbaloo's, Porky's Barbecue, Something Fishy, the coffee shop, Country Kitchen. I mean, all these businesses have closed because they didn't have the support of the community. And so when we talk about we're spending money outside the community, there are businesses that are here that we can support. The Backroom Steakhouse is only open in the evenings because he doesn't have the lunch crowd. So therefore, it's not all about we don't have what we need. Yes, we need some additional restaurants in our city, but when we talk to developers and they talk to those chains, they say we don't have the rooftops we need in order to support those restaurants that are coming to our city. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. And when we're there, they will come. They would love to come to Apopka, but we need to support the businesses that are currently here in order that they can maintain and remain in business. Some outstanding restaurants that are no longer in business because they didn't have the support.
Thank you. We now enter the section where we're doing the closing statements for the candidates, and so we're going to give you each 2 minutes to say whatever you'd like to say in your closing argument. And I'm just going to start back with Commissioner Alexander Smith, and we'll just go down the line again. Sir.
Thank you. This has been a great opportunity for us to share with our community, with the residents, so they know what our platforms are and the importance of the things that are needed here in our city. I've always focused on affordable housing, workforce housing. As a teacher, I know how important that is to be able to live in the city where you work. I drove from Apopka to Dr. Phillips for 29 years. And so people need to be able to afford to live where they work. Our young people, when they graduate from high school, graduate from college, they cannot afford to come back to live in our city. So affordable housing, workforce housing is important. And it's unfortunate that workforce housing and affordable housing has gotten a bad name, a bad rap. But when we're talking about our firefighters, our police officers, our nurses, and these individuals, they need workforce housing, affordable housing, so they can live in the city where they work. As you mentioned earlier, our seniors are aging, so we need to be able to provide facilities for our seniors to live in as well. I had a couple of seniors that come to me. They were living in a senior living facility, but since they'd been there, the rent had gone up twice in less than a year. And so it was getting to the point that they were no longer be able to even live in senior living facilities. And so seniors are important, and then we got to look out for our youth. Our youth is looking for positive things to do. And so as we continue to provide recreational facilities for our youth, there are going to be some wholesome residents for us in the future, and Apopka will continue to grow. I'm a voice for all the people, and I would ask you to consider voting for Alexander Smith on March 10th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Miss Angela Turner.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity again tonight to speak with you all. I also want to thank my family. I hope that they're watching. And my husband, who's been supporting me for over 3 decades. So I wanted to also acknowledge him. I want to thank you for the platform. I'm running for Apopka City Commissioner because I really want to enhance on what we have here. My leadership skills, I've been in leadership for over 25 years in behavioral health settings and beyond that, gives me an ability to be able to be able to work with various people, in various sectors, be able to collaborate, and also be able to influence other people's decision making. I also am running for City Commission because I just want to be able to serve and be the voice of the people. I'm running on transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. So I want to thank you for tonight, and I want to encourage you to vote for me for Apopka City Commissioner seat 2. Thank you.
Mr. Ruth.
10 years ago, Mayor Kilsheimer stepped out of being the commissioner. I chose to enter the race. You know, I had all these grand illusions of being a commissioner. I was elected. I didn't fully understand by being elected that it was only for a 2-year term. And I tell you, the first 2 years, I got beat up not only about what we were doing, because none of us there really had a clue what was going on. And by the time I got my sea legs under me, it was over. My professional life, I work for one of the largest mechanical contractors in the United States. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a quality control specialist. All the hospitals here locally, I take care of their infrastructure. I'm probably the ugliest cheerleader Apopka's ever had, but I love Apopka. The hospitals call me to keep their infrastructure going. I take care of their air conditioning. I'm either at the Cape with Musk shooting rockets to the moon, or I'm downtown Orlando working at ORMC or at Health Central. The infrastructure problems we have here, I have a great knowledge in that aspect. I understand it. It's my world. It's the world I do professionally. But outside of that, you know, I got to thank Matt. Matt got into the race. I went to one of his events. He was running for mayor. I went back home and I told my wife, I says, hey, you know, I promised you I wouldn't do this again, but I think the city's heading in a direction that I might want to get back into this race. She said, if that's what you want to do, do it. So I'm here, and I'm humbled. If you vote for me on March 10th, I'd appreciate the opportunity and be your voice on the dais.
Thank you. Ms. Barron.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm Yesenia Barron, and I'm running for Apopka City Council seat 4. Our city is growing fast, and we need leadership that's ready to meet this moment with vision, accountability, and heart. I'm the daughter of Cuban immigrants who came to this country in the freedom fights with nothing but determination and a faith in the American dream. My parents worked hard, as my mom was a housekeeper, my dad was a carpet installer, and they taught me that service is responsibility. That belief has guided me through my career in law enforcement, including more than a decade as a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, where I investigated crimes against children and missing person cases. That work taught me to stand for people that don't have a voice otherwise, and that's exactly what I tend to do for the residents of Apopka. My husband and I moved to Apopka along with our children in 2012 because we saw a community with incredible potential. We opened up a small business. We raised our kids here. We volunteered in our schools. We built relationships across the city. I've seen strength in this community, and I know that we can accomplish what we can do together. I'm running because I believe Apopka. I believe in Apopka. I believe in responsible growth. I believe in transparency, and I believe that when we work together, we can build a city that reflects our values and our pride. I'm ready to serve, I'm ready to listen, and I'm ready to work. Together, we can move Apopka forward with responsibility, proudly, and in heart. I'm Yesenia Barron. Vote for me on March 10th for Apopka City Council C4. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. George Smith.
My fellow residents of Apopka, our city stands at an important crossroads. The choices we make today will shape the future of our neighborhoods, our families, and our quality of life for generations to come. I'm running for City Commissioner seat 2 because I believe in one simple principle: people over profit. Far too long, rapid development has moved faster than our infrastructure, our planning, and our community voice. Growth is important, but it must be responsible growth. We must slow down new development so our roads, school, environment, and neighborhoods are protected, and so the residents who built the city are never pushed aside. Public safety must also remain our top priority. Every family deserves to feel safe in their own homes. Every child deserves to feel safe in the streets. And every neighborhood deserves the resources and protection it needs. I will work to ensure our police and first responders have the support, staffing, the tools necessary to serve our community effectively. This campaign is about protecting what makes Apopka special: our people, our values, our future. Together, we can build a city that listens to its residents, prioritizes safety, manages growth responsibility, and puts community first in every decision. If you believe in responsible development, stronger public safety, and leadership that puts the people over profits, I humbly ask for your vote. There's no I in Apopka, so let's move forward together. Thank you. God bless our community.
Thank you. Ms. Harrison.
I would again like to thank the Apopka involved voters and Victory Church for hosting this forum, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I owe a debt of gratitude to my family who supports me in every endeavor, as well as my friends and those that are watching on the live stream. Thank you all so much. Election Day is March 10th, and this marks a pivotal moment for literally the future and the shape of Apopka. Apopka deserves bold leadership focused on transparency, fiduciary accountability, including affordability of our very basic needs, infrastructure improvements so that our roads and public works are adequate, economic development so small businesses thrive and there's a vibrant Main Street, and a downtown city center that we've all longed to see. This is all-encompassing of my vision for a better quality of life and a better, brighter Apopka. I have the experience, innovative ideas, accountability, integrity, and what it takes to lead, serve, and have a collective voice for our community. Remember that the woes of our city and what may keep us up at night can be overcome together, and I look forward to serving to get that done. This is a city where we love. This is a city that we love, where we live, work, and play, and we want that to last for generations to come. As we know, real, meaningful change comes from care, courage, and clarity, and that is something that I will bring to the commission as council member. So remember to vote on March 10th and even earlier, as early election starts on March 2nd. I appreciate the opportunity to earn your support and your vote. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Velasquez.
Last but not least, first I want to say thank you to Victory Church, to Mr. Dunn, Mr. Drago, and Mr. Rod Olson for putting this on tonight. I have been in office now for 10 years, and what I have seen in the last few election cycles has been a great participation of our community, something that had lacked early when I first ran in 2014. And it is something that I continue to encourage, is the input, the involvement of our city residents. We have grown from, I've been here 21 years. When I arrived here, it was less than 20,000 residents, and we are up to now almost 67,000 residents. And that's a big difference. The growth has been here. You obviously have seen transitions of new businesses. Oh, I didn't know I had that. 1 minute, that distracted me. But I will say this, I will continue to serve. It has always been important for me to connect with the community, to connect with our businesses, to be involved in the voluntary organizations that are here to support them. The next election is very important. You get to choose not only the form of government that you want for the city of Apopka, you get to vote for the elected officials that you want to represent you. And I ask for your continued support and trust in my service to you on March 10th, and appreciate everything, appreciate all the years that I have continued to serve you and hope to continue to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, I help you. Thank you for doing it. Audience, can I ask give a round of applause? Thank you for these folks being here tonight. Take their time. Thank you, folks, for being here. On behalf of all the citizens of Apopka, I want to thank you for your participation tonight and giving the voters an idea of your views on certain items, and we appreciate your being honesty and your directness there. I'd also like to thank the city voters for listening and attending this event, those who are in the audience and those who are listening online. I hope the evening's been informative. Candidates, I wish you great luck with your campaigns. You're just a few weeks away. You will get to go home one night and actually watch TV or do something besides campaign, so that'd be exciting. Finally, we want to thank the Victory Church for the use of their facilities and the Apopka Chief for letting us use their streaming service. Without their services, the voters would be deprived of a valuable education tool that makes this available to people on a wider scale rather than just being here. And finally, we want to thank all the citizens of Apopka and urge them to understand each candidate's views, to understand what's important to them, and to exercise their right to vote in this important election. So we thank them for every vote counts, every vote is important, so we encourage you to come out there. Again, if you're at home watching, we appreciate you watching. If you're here in the room, we hope you have safe travels, and as I say every time, if you're at home going to the refrigerator, be careful. Thanks for coming. Thanks for tonight. Bye-bye.
you.